Good morning. Let everybody get their cup of coffee and their snack. Get seated. Good morning. My name is Carmela Southers, she, her, and I'll be your worship associate this morning. We're delighted that you're with us here today, whether online or in person. It's great to be with you. No matter how you look or who you love, we're glad you're here. Even if you think John Calvin is a cartoon character along with Hobbes, we appreciate you. And if you got that joke, David, you were really stretching this morning. And that's impressive. Anyway. We have an abundance of love and compassion and joy here. We're happy to share it with you. This morning, we will be hearing a sermon purchased in our annual auction. This was purchased by John Guffey. Are you here, John? Yay, there we go. Yay, thank you, John. All right. So David will be discussing how Unitarians and Universalists got together. One was more philosophical, one more spiritual. These two different ways of viewing life continue to spark debate in UU circles, sometimes even here in our fellowship. I hope you will join in the conversation. So as David lights our chalice, listen to these words by William Ellery Channing, the influential 19th century American theologian and writer. To live content with small means, to think quietly, act frankly, talk gently, await occasions, hurry never. In a word, to let the spiritual, unbidden and unconscious grow up through the common. This is my symphony. May it be. As a reminder, you can come to our Joys and Concerns table over here to your left and light a candle or drop a pebble in the bowl as a token of what you're holding in your heart at any time during the service. Catherine and the band will now start us off with Love Will Keep Us Together. Thanks for coming.
If you are able, please stand and join us for our sing-along. And once again, in honor of the 70th anniversary of this fellowship, we are family. Here we go. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. Everyone, can you see we're together as we walk on by? And we flock just like birds of a feather. I won't tell no lie. All of the people around us, they sit, and they be that close. Just let me state for the record, we're giving love in a family dose. We are family. I got all my brothers with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. One more time. We are family. Your friends, I got all my friends here with me. Let's hear it. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing.
All right, it is now time for all school-aged human beings to go to RE. You can join Ann right over here. They're going to be exiting out that door. They are talking about UU history, just like we are going to be in just a moment. So, there we go. Catherine's going to come now and sing, although she never left, so I guess she's not really.
I'm still
She's
here.
just here. The long and winding road.
The long and winding road that leads to your door will never disappear.
All right. Thank you, Catherine. And thank you, Rebecca. All right. The long and winding road. It really has been. I don't know if you know anything about UU history, but we're going to jump in this morning, and it is my goal that nobody fall asleep this morning. Because we're going to hit a lot of history, 500 years of history. So stick with me. Here we go. To me, UUs are where philosophy and spirituality meet. Unitarian Universalism has one of those long, winding road stories. It starts with the chaos of the Protestant Reformation. It runs through heresy trials, bonfires, crosses oceans, picks up a second movement obsessed with God's love, and eventually lands in a modern faith that says you don't have to check your brain or your heart at the door. To understand who we are, it helps to look back at where we've come from. And like many good religious stories, it begins with people getting in serious trouble for asking the wrong questions. Yeah, the Protestant Reformation shattered the religious unity of Western Europe. Calvin and Luther broke from Rome over authority, over salvation. I mean, who has the right to interpret Scripture? And how are we saved? But some folks went even further. They questioned not just how God works, but who God is. A few reformers looked at the doctrine of the Trinity. Oh, wait, not that one. This one. The one that says we have one God in three persons. And they said, I'm not sure this is actually in the Bible. They argued that this idea, which had been enforced for centuries, was more about church councils and power rather than about the Scripture. The most famous of these troublemakers is Servetus. Oh, wait, not that one. This one, Michael Servetus, a Spanish physician and theologian. In 1531, he wrote a book bluntly titled On the Errors About the Trinity, where he argued that the traditional doctrine didn't hold up biblically or logically. For him, Jesus was a divinely inspired human that was somehow united with the divine, but not literally a part of a three-person Godhead. Well, as you can imagine, this did not go over very well. Both Catholic and Protestant authorities were furious. Servetus managed to offend just about everybody. Eventually, he was arrested in Geneva, Calvin's hometown, convicted of heresy, and burned at the stake in 1553. Now, I know many Christians today who revere Luther and Calvin. I also know almost no one who says, we should definitely burn more people at the stake for heresy. I have a hard time imagining Jesus supervising an execution by fire, but maybe that's just me. Servetus' death became a rallying point for people who believed in freedom of religious conscience. His writings and his martyrdom pushed others to keep questioning and to search for a faith that could stand up to reason and Scripture without violence. The seeds of Unitarianism were planted in that soil. They were watered quite literally with the blood of someone who refused to stop thinking. Now, you might think that turning your leading thinker into a s'more would kill a movement, and in some parts of Western Europe, it almost did. But in Eastern Europe, especially in Poland and Transylvania, something else happened. Unitarian ideas found fertile ground. There, the people were less enthusiastic about barbecuing heretics and more open to theological experimentation. Italian scholars who fled to Poland helped launch an organized Unitarian movement. The Sozzini family, especially Lelio and his nephew Socinus, shaped much of this theology. The central idea was simple, but daring for its time. God is one, not three. The Trinity is out. Radical monotheism was in. These early Unitarians insisted on the use of reason in religious life. They argued that faith should not require you to abandon your mind. Each person, they said, has both the right and the responsibility to seek truth for themselves. Now, of course, this didn't make them popular with the religious authorities of the day. They were persecuted and sometimes driven underground, yet they survived. In Transylvania, Unitarian communities took root and continued across many centuries. And these communities later formed bonds with American Unitarians, linking Eastern European radicalism with New England intellectuals. If you've ever wondered why UUs today put so much emphasis on reason, conscience, and freedom of belief, well, this is where that all began. While Unitarianism was taking shape in Eastern Europe, another radical movement was rising, this time in England and in America. If the Unitarians were busy saying, let's rethink who God is, the Universalists were asking what kind of God would create billions of people just to damn them forever. In an era when many churches preached that only a small, predestined group would be saved, thank you, Calvin, tulips for everybody, Universalists said no, if God is love, then God ultimately saves everyone. The heart of Universalism was the idea that no soul is beyond redemption. A loving God would not create anyone just to consign them forever to eternal torment. Universalists saw God not as a cosmic judge running a two-tier afterlife system, but as a persistent, loving presence determined to bring every soul home. Universalism came to America through John Murray, an Englishman whose life fell apart in ways that almost sound too tragic to be real. Within a short time, he lost his wife, his child, and several siblings. Grief, debt, and despair followed. He came close to suicide, but instead, he decided to get away to America, promising himself he would never preach again. Well, that promise didn't last. His ship got stranded off the New Jersey coast near a place ironically called Good Luck. There he met a man who had built a chapel and was looking for a preacher. Now, Murray resisted. He was done with ministry, done with preaching. But eventually, he accepted the invitation. On September 30th, 1770, he preached his first sermon in America, proclaiming universal salvation. Many later pointed to that date as the beginning of American Universalism. He soon became an itinerant preacher, preaching through the colonies, spreading the message that God's love was bigger than anyone had imagined. His preaching drew converts and controversy. In Gloucester, Massachusetts, a group of Universalists were eventually excommunicated from their local church. They responded by forming their own church, an independent Church of Christ in Gloucester, and they called Murray as their minister. That congregation is recognized as the first Universalist church in America. Over time, Universalism grew into a significant movement. It was more populist and rural than Unitarianism, which tended to attract urban intellectuals. Does that sound familiar? Universalists held revivals, preached in plain language, welcomed ordinary people who were tired of fear-based religion. From very early on, they also practiced a kind of social inclusion that was very unusual for their time. The Gloucester Church had a freed slave among its chartered members. The Universalists later became the first denomination to ordain women as ministers, beginning with Olympia Brown, great name, in 1863. They spoke out strongly against slavery and supported efforts to extend civil rights after the Civil War. In other words, Universalists didn't just believe that God loved everyone, they tried to act like it. Now, by the mid-20th century, the American Unitarian Association and the Universalist Church of America looked very different from their origins. Unitarians had moved far beyond classical Christian theology. They were increasingly humanistic, philosophical, and non-creedal. Universalists also had broadened, focusing less on specific doctrines of salvation and more on the idea of a love that includes everyone. Both cherished freedom of belief, reason, and democracy in a congregational life. Both were committed to social justice. They had started as two Christian reform movements, but by the 1950s, they were becoming something very different. liberal religious communities that welcomed doubts, questions, and diverse beliefs. At a certain point, it became obvious that they were moving in the same direction. Leaders in both traditions began asking whether they could make a stronger impact together than apart. Cooperation started with shared projects in religious education, publishing, public relations, and eventually the conversation turned toward full consolidation. After years of reports, debates, votes, the two denominations finally agreed to merge. And in May 23, 1961, in Boston, the Universalist Association, the UUA, came into being. Two historic streams, Unitarianism and Universalism, joined to form one river. Now, it wasn't totally an equal merger. The new organization was majority Unitarian by numbers, and many Universalists worried that their populist, heartfelt tradition would get overshadowed by a more cerebral Unitarian culture. And that tension hasn't entirely disappeared. You can feel it in the difference today between the head-centered and the heart-centered instincts within our movement. And just to keep it real, our own congregation initially voted against the merger. We eventually found our way into Unitarian Universalism, but that hesitation says something. Maybe it reminds us that combining traditions is complicated, and that saying yes to a big new structure always comes with risk. All right, so where does that leave us now? Since 1961, Unitarian Universalism has continued to evolve. We no longer define ourselves as a Christian denomination. We are non-creedal, which means we don't ask people to sign off on a specific set of beliefs about God, Jesus, or the afterlife. Instead, we gather around shared values as a way of being in community. For many years, these values were expressed as 7 principles. Ideas like the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice and compassion in human relations, acceptance and encouragement of spiritual growth, free and responsible search for truth and meaning, and respect for the independent web of existence. Now, more recently, the UUA has been revising its core statement of values to better reflect who we are now. There is a growing emphasis on love at the center, with other values like justice, equity, transformation, independence, and generosity radiating out from that center. It's an attempt to name not just what we affirm, but how we hope to live. If you like mnemonics, you can use JETPIG to remember our shared values. Our commitment to social justice continues to be a defining piece of our tradition. Unitarian Universalists showed up in large numbers for the civil rights movement. Many answered Martin Luther King's call to come to Selma. One UU minister, James Reeb, was murdered in that scene. Others have stood on the front lines of LGBTQ plus rights, reproductive justice, and environmental activism, and racial justice movements. We don't always get it right. We're as flawed as any human community, but we keep returning to this question. If we say that every person has inherent worth and dignity, how should we act? At the same time, we're not immune to the broader struggles of organized religion in America. Membership has declined over many decades. Our congregations skew older. The cultural shift away from traditional religious institutions has affected us too. In a polarized political climate, some people experience UU as too political. Others feel we're not bold enough. Well, there's another challenge as well, our relationship to certainty. Many religious groups grow in part by offering clear, confident answers, especially about what happens after death. If someone asks, what happens when I die? Many conservative traditions have a ready, reassuring script. Believe this, do that, give this much money, and you will go to heaven. And the UU response? It's really pretty much, we don't really know. Here's what some people believe, here's what others believe. What do you think? And for some, that openness is liberating. For others, it's unsettling. Ambiguity doesn't pack the pews. And yet, our willingness to live with the question is exactly what draws many of us here. Unitarian Universalism continues to adapt. We experiment with new forms of community, new ways of worship, new language for old truths. We host online gatherings, hybrid services, small groups that look more like discussion circles than traditional church. We're trying, sometimes imperfectly, to meet the moment we're actually living in. Pew polling says there's only 1% of Americans who are UUs. Even though our numbers are small, our influence often stretches beyond our size. We've helped shape conversation around religious pluralism, interfaith cooperation, and the idea that doubt and faith are not enemies, rather partners. At its best, Unitarian Universalism offers a home for courageous people who refuse to choose between head and heart. We are heirs of the Unitarians who insisted that faith should be compatible with reason. We are also heirs of the Universalists who insisted that divine love is bigger than our fear and our divisions. And this brings me to why this matters to me personally. I grew up in a conservative Christian world where the idea of a personal God was central. I wanted to believe in that God with my whole being, and I did. But as time went on, I bumped hard against the limits of that way of thinking. Eventually, I was kicked out of the Southern Baptist Convention, and it's a great place to be from. And that experience forced me to look long and hard at what I believed and why. It also made me ask, what kind of community do I want to be a part of? I mean, I still wanted a spiritual path. I still felt and feel that there is more to life than just the physical, the material. But I also needed a framework that respected human logic and honest questioning. Unitarian Universalism gave me that place where these things could coexist. Here, I don't have to pretend that I know more than I do. I don't have to suppress my doubts to belong. I can love the language of spirit and still insist on intellectual integrity. I could care about justice, not just as a political stance, but as an expression of faith. For me, UU is the place where philosophy and spirituality meet. It's where those long historical threads, from Servetus's fiery ending to John Murray's broken heart to the merger in 1961, these things all braid together with my own story and with yours. We stand in a tradition that is never complete, never perfect. We're always in process, always revising, always listening, always arguing, always trying again. We affirm that the search for truth and meaning is never finished. And in a world that often demands rigid certainty, Unitarian Universalism quietly, stubbornly offers something else, a covenantal community where doubt is welcome, diversity is a gift, transformation is possible for individuals, for communities, and maybe, just maybe, for this world we live in. There you go, John. I hope that was okay. All right, how about you? How about you? What do you think about this history and how it impacts us today? Does one of those two traditions seem to resonate more with you than the other? Do you share this same thing, maybe starting off in one camp and moving to another camp? Who wants to talk? I know we got Kristen over here.
I went to a training. It was right before COVID because they actually emailed us after it ended and said that 3 people that were there had COVID, and none of us knew what that was at the time. But it was with folks from the UUA, and we were talking about like progression of faith within UU, and so as it related to RE, but there's like progressions that people go to, and a lot of people get stuck in the phase of like, you know, this is what I do, this is what my family does, I don't think about it, like, and then but then there's like this dissonance phase after that where it's like, well, is this really for me? And we lose a lot of people there because there's not always something to pull them back, right? And then so we were talking about like, does you need more mythology, and what would that look like? And in talking to the other people from this congregation there, I was like, what if we had myths here and like elevated stories of people like Becky Reed and John Reed and made them mythical. Yeah, and like
To some
the
of us, they already
Pinchmans,
are.
right? And like and just like elevated, you know, and created these stories that we could tell the children of like, this is where we came from. These are these amazing people. Look at all the amazing things that they did, and make it kind of magical, because the stuff they did was kind of magical. Let's not lie. So, but like, how cool would that be, right? So just things to think about. And because those are the stories that might pull people back, of like, hey, this community not only is my family and these kind of things, but I also feel connected to these stories. And I want to be part of the people that created Fredericksburg in the way that it is now.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, absolutely, yes. All right, got Christy, we got Patrick.
I just wish the kid that had come to our house yesterday selling educational Christian literature had been here today. I told him, you know, we're not Christians, and it bugs me that everybody assumes you are a Christian wherever you go. And so he said, well, what are you? I said, well, you know, we go to the Unitarian Church, and he says, well, what's that? And of course, I apologize for not having my elevator speech prepared. I told him the standard joke, it's for people who want to be religious and don't know how, but you've clarified a lot of it for me, so now maybe
There you
I'll be
go.
a
All
better
right.
ambassador.
We do need a good line to say, yeah. Christy,
I'm going to piggyback on Kristen a little and say that one of my favorite ways to make people uncomfortable is when they say, I was born Baptist or I was born Presbyterian, and I look them in the eye and say, but what do you believe? And oftentimes I'm met with just confusion. They've never thought about it.
yeah,
And I've always felt that a faith that is challenged is much stronger than a faith that is just swallowed like your morning vitamins.
absolutely, yeah.
And I'm also going to challenge her on us not having a mythology, but if you think about the flower ceremony that we do every year,
Yeah.
that comes from the history from our Polish beginnings. I cannot remember the gentleman's name, but the man who created that
Right.
ceremony went on to be sent to a death camp during
Yes.
World War II
Yeah.
and is presumed to have died there. So we do have that kind of history that we
Yeah.
can share, that kind of strong mythology, if you want to call it that, that says, these are our beginnings, these are our stories. But yes, I think sharing our own right here at home
Sure,
it is a great idea too.
yeah, good, thank you. Okay, got a couple more? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Elaine Calendar. Kristen, we have two really well put together newsletters, one for the 50th and 60th anniversaries of the fellowship that Marianne Brown had a lot to do with. I worked on. We relied on the journalist who used to be a part of the fellowship, Bill Lakeman, and we have wonderful stories about those mythical figures you're talking about. So we
Yeah.
need to recirculate
Yeah.
those newsletters.
Yeah, we need to tell those stories.
And my favorite story is Edna Elvers. We were in a little bungalow up on Rose Street, and Edna was teaching the children RE in the kitchen of this little bungalow. And she came storming out one Sunday and said, if you are going to expect me to teach these children, you need to give me room. And the congregation voted, and moved to a bar and gave the entire building over to the children.
And that was the first AA group meeting start. Yeah.
So, to answer your original question, I
Yeah.
would definitely, being an empath, I would have definitely gone with the Universalists. But I'm very grateful for the Unitarian side because it has offered me the opportunity to read books like this that I
Yeah.
never would have touched.
Yeah.
And to really challenge my brain, my thought process, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I find myself right now, wherever I go, meeting people and saying, oh my gosh, you would fit right in at the Unitarian Church, basically because I feel like everybody would. I hope. And it's just a wonderful feeling to be able to invite people to a community
Yeah.
that accepts everyone.
Yeah, good. I know John wants to speak too, so if you bring the mic on right down here. Steve.
Well, we named all the rooms here after, significant and famous and important
Yeah.
UU forebears. So we do have that rich history. For me, a defining moment, certainly an important one, well, certainly a weird one, was not long after I started attending in Landon, Ellswick, stood up after some sermon that had chapped his ass, and he said, I think there's been a little too much God talk around here lately.
I have a question and a comment. This fellowship was established before they joined.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, was it Unitarian? Or
Unitarian.
Universal?
Yeah. Unitarian.
Unitarian. I myself, I feel more drawn to universalism. The only thing that kind of troubles me that I feel like, everybody can be redeemed, but the evil person, Hitler, how does he
Yeah.
get redeemed? That troubles
Yeah.
me about
Sure. Sure, that's not easy. John wanted to talk?
Well, hi, David. Thank you for the concise and informative history of UUs. For my own spiritual journey, I was brought up in the Presbyterian, the old-time Presbyterian,
Yes.
that has very little to do with the modern Presbyterian church.
Yeah.
And I've been a Buddhist, I've been a Jew, and so I think what they call the cafeteria religious
Yeah.
seeker, but you're putting together what modern UU stands for now is exactly why I'm here, to be able to think
Yeah.
and seek and not be afraid of
Yes.
being wrong.
Yes. Very
Thank
good. Yeah. Okay.
So I didn't know any of the history until just now, so thanks for that. I grew up Southern Baptist, and the reason I'm here and the reason I keep coming back isn't because of any mystical idea or mystical person that I knew nothing about until this very moment. It's all of you. It's the community that I missed growing up that way, but I didn't like the hate that was involved.
Yeah.
I didn't like the guilt, and I didn't like being absolutely terrified of hell.
Yeah.
Because no, my children don't know what that is, and I'm very happy. But I think that the reason this place is so special is because of the people that are here and building the community that we all need, especially in this world today. So, and keep that going, I guess. That's all.
Yeah. 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 Couple more.
Thank you, David. This was the sermon I needed to hear today. I really appreciate it. Not least of which because I found out that there are some Polish
Yeah. Yeah.
roots to this,
Yeah.
being from Polish heritage, go Poland. So thank you for that. You want to talk about guilt? I was raised Catholic, so
Another great place to be from.
it occurs to me listening to your sermon that in any relationship or situation we're in, if you're ruling or trying to get people to do what you want through fear, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why I really love this place, because it's the opposite of that. So thank you again for that.
Yeah. Good. One more? Okay. Ainsley?
Thank you. Well, I was born into agnosticism, so I'm in the right place. From what you said and what you showed us on those funny screens, this could be the best thing for newcomers to see. Maybe not the first the first meeting because it might frighten them off. But I think this service has just been dynamite. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, thank you once again to John for purchasing that. Thank you for your generosity. All right, we have a ton of announcements today, not least of which is right after this service is our annual meeting. We need every member to please stick around for that. We have to have a quorum to be able to vote on the budget and all that kind of good stuff. So please hang around. There's plenty of food, and we're going to get out early today, so please stick around. Tonight at 6 o'clock, we're having a contemplative service right here led by Steve Watkins. So if you're interested in quiet space, in meditation, this is a great service for you to come to. Next Saturday, June 20th, we are hosting Corey Blanche to come and do a concert here for us. He has sung here in this church before. He's an amazing, amazing person, an amazing musician. He also owns and runs Kuritaba, right? Am I saying that right? The coffee shop? There it is. So anyway, it's going to be a great time. I invite you to come. I'm going to be here. It should be fun. Fredericksburg Pride is just around the corner. Speaking of which, we had a big event last night, right here, and it was we sold tickets, and we raised $1,000, 500 of which is going to come to our fellowship, 500 to Fredericksburg Pride. So thank you to all that participated in that. And the Pride event is coming up the 27th, I think it is. Yeah, 27th. I can almost read that. And we need volunteers. If you can take a shift and help us man a booth or person a booth, that would be awesome. You can see Dawn for more information, or you can click that QR code. We're going to participate in the Trevor Project. And on the 28th, after the service, we're having a potluck and a fundraiser to help raise money for the Trevor Project, which if you're not sure about that, you can look that up online. But it's about supporting youth that are LGBTQ or transitioning to make sure that they have the support and services that they need. The 4th of July is coming up, and we're going to have our annual fireworks watching tailgate party right out here. We've got a live band. We're getting food trucks. Always a lot of fun. $10 to park your car here. Bring as many people in that car as you like, and it's always a good time. And let's see, we have a couple of special announcements, I know. The UU Service Project can go next, and then we have the school days announcement after that.
David's Baptist roots were showing. We had a drag show here last night. He couldn't say the word drag show.
It was great. It was a drag revival.
Since the latest administration, we've had a surge in immigrants being sent out of this country and arrested and detained. Our immigrant neighbors say things like, "I feel like I'm being hunted." Our immigrant neighbors are afraid to go to the police if they're assaulted because they're afraid they're going to be deported. They're even afraid sometimes to send their children to school. And they're certainly afraid in other communities to pick up their children from school. The UU Service Project for the year is going to be focusing on immigration. Kurt is going to actually fill you in on what this service project is going to be. I just wanted to tell you how important I think this is and how really fits with our values and our sense of justice. We have been a sanctuary congregation for years, and that meant in 2016 we did help an immigrant who came to our church for sanctuary and helped her through that entire several-year process of helping her to be legal. So we've done some good things, but we're going to do even more good things. And Kurt, you're up.
Thank you. Morning. Yes, so that is going to be our focus, and that will be voted on in the annual meeting. We have partnered with Virginia Organizing, very powerful organization. They work closely with us, and they put a lot of hours in. We had a meeting yesterday, train the trainer for, dealing with ICE and issues like that. We have signed on for the communications plan, and there are others in the community who are working with Virginia Organizing on that. And so we will be seeking volunteers to help with that. It's going to be a big effort, but it's a very powerful thing to help those in the community who do not have the protection. They're fearful, they're isolated. This is a really good thing we can do to help our neighbors and support the interdependent web of life, of all existence. And if you have any questions, you can ask me, and we'll be in touch. All right.
Next Sunday, so we're going to vote on it today, but next Sunday after service, we'll have a real breakdown of what it involves, what our whole next year will involve, along with sign-up sheets and things. So this is just to whet your appetite.
All right. Thank you.
I am Jenny McCormick again. I came in this morning and I was a little disappointed because I looked at those tubs and I thought, oh my gosh, they look the same they did last week. But you guys came through, came by me carrying stuff, putting them down there, so thank you so much. But don't stop. You have one more week, okay? And then we need to gather everything up, count it, enter it into the inventory, okay? So one more week to bring your things in. You can always go online to School Dressing Days to make a cash donation. That's fine too. One more thing, on Monday, June 29th, all the churches bring their donated items to the storage unit, which is just down 17 near the Arby's and the 7-Eleven gas station, so it's not very far away. But I can't do that morning. It's usually 10 a.m. to noon, but I have an appointment in Richmond. So if somebody can volunteer we'll get your car loaded up with the donations, and then you show up about 10 or 11, and there's people there to help you unload and things like that. So see me either today or next week, and we'll set something up. Thanks a lot. So we're going to open the mics now for joys and concerns. If you have something to stand, please stand, raise your hand, and we'll bring you a microphone. And just a hint, if you use the microphone like this, everybody can hear. This doesn't help. Good, thank you.
I'm excited to start off today. I have a joy and a concern. I'm going to start with the joy that our son, Andy, who grew up here, received a commendation at work as Technician of the Month. And what was so nice about it, they wrote a beautiful letter that used words like professionalism, work ethic, timeliness, accuracy. So I'm very proud to recognize my son, Andy. Then I have a concern. My absolutely wonderful Uncle Eddie from Rhode Island, passed away the other night at 99 and 5 months. And his daughter was just getting ready to be married out west. He wasn't able to attend, or wasn't planning to. But anyway, Bruce and I are headed up for a funeral. We'll be gone a few days.
Safe travels. Thank you. Here.
So I have a concern-ish. I'll caveat that with I have true faith in the gentleman who will be performing my surgery, but on June 22nd, just a week away, I will be having my gallbladder and part of my colon removed, And luckily, they believe they can do it laparoscopically, so hopefully there won't be a lot of outward trauma to my body, but I know I'll be spending a lot of time healing afterwards, and company is always welcome. I'll stay the first 2 nights in the hospital just to make sure I'm okay to go home. But anytime you go into something like this, it's a little bit scary.
Sure.
So thoughts and prayers, please. This is one time where that's appreciated.
Great. Thank you.
You want me to go? Is it on? Hi. I just wanted to thank the people. We had a table at the Art of Aging Expo this past week, and I wanted to thank the people that volunteered. It was during the day, and I work, and I couldn't be there. So we had Leslie Phillips, I haven't seen her this morning, Karen Calais, Vashti Ferguson, and Jackie Arthur. Wasn't able to make it, but she generously provided some kind bars for us to hand out. James Sperlazza also provided a bunch of kind bars for us to hand out. And we had some really, really good contacts with people that are very excited about our organization. So we're following up on that. Thanks, guys.
There's a old saying in the yoga teachers share, and it's if a lot of people show up to my yoga class today, then I thank God I get to teach yoga today. And if nobody shows up for my yoga class today, I thank God I don't have to teach yoga today. And I feel that way about the contemplative service that we're doing on Sunday nights. I'm leading it tonight. We've had other nights, and sometimes a bunch of people show up, and sometimes 1 or 2. But I feel the same way. I'll be here, and would love to have you join me. And if not, thank God I don't have to lead the contemplative service tonight. And the other thing is, I just took a job as editor of this online publication called the Fredericksburg Advance, and I've really changed in the direction of this pretty significantly. But I would certainly hope you can join for free. You can also join for money, but you can join for free. And I would love to see you all there and hear your voices in conversation. So cheers.
Great. Thank you. And
Just a quick one, I'm concerned. Yeah, I've been helping a cousin of mine out over the years, and he's, again, homeless. And he's been living in the parking lot in Walmart in Tennessee, so he's had a real rough time, so keep him in your thoughts.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. So let's keep all of these. Oh, okay.
It's the gift to be able to shed tears. We see so much tears. Are they tears of joy or concern? We see our founding fathers are tearing so hard with the tragedy in our planet. It is joyful here. Thank you, David, to see this much intellectual, loving, caring people here. Therefore, I am cleaning my tears of sadness to have tears of joy for this community.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. Thank you. All right. So let's keep all these things in our hearts. So thank you again for coming this morning. As we gear up for summer, please remember that the needs of the fellowship continue on. I encourage you to give generously in the days ahead. And please stand as you're able, and we'll say our closing words from William Ellery Channing. May our lives preach more loudly than our lips. Please stay for the annual meeting. Thank you. Take maybe a 5-minute break.
5-minute break.
10-minute break, something like that. And then we'll start the meeting. Thank you.